The last 2 years, okay, I filed for divorce and was willing to give my ex everything because I knew it would hurt her, but I was trying to make it easy. That was not accepted. She began a two-year persecution of my life and business and ran through $1 million in attorney fees looking for different things she accused me of. Forced this divorce all the way to a trial. And 2 days into the trial, the judge stopped it and told my ex, you don't have a case. This is 2 years of pain, of confusion, of emotional and financial drain. During those 2 years, I developed a new relationship with a woman who developed Lyme disease and pretty much was on her deathbed, and I was her caretaker. And I moved into her one-bedroom apartment while going through this divorce. So you can kind of imagine how this is tearing me wide open. There's the divorce, there's the emotional part of it, there is the guilt, the resentment, the experience I'm going through. Then there's a new relationship with the high of a new relationship, but also her needing care. And during the same time, my father dies. My best friend dies. A family member attempts suicide. And a pandemic crawls across the planet, basically wiping out my biggest income, which is from traveling and speaking. I had just gone to Russia, I had been to the Ukraine, and I was in Iran. Iran was the last country I had been to. And in fact, just got out in the nick of time because their country and our country started warring. Mm-hmm. And so this is 2 years, Mike, 2 years of me getting up every day going, how am I going to get through today? 2 years of going through the feelings of grief, the grief for an old relationship, the grief for my father, the grief for my best friend, the grief for and confusion over a family member wanting to end his own life, and going through the pandemic and having to juggle trying to sell one house, living in a one-bedroom apartment, and then wondering what the future is going to hold. So all of this, okay, this is a big ball of agony. And I would be lying to you if I said, oh, I just get up every day and put on a happy face, look for the sunshine, and did affirmations every day. No. One of the things that helped me was Stoicism, because I was looking, it's like, what is here to help me? And Stoicism, they lived through far worse times than we did. They lived through atrocious times. What they went through is almost unimaginable. And yet they had to find a way to survive, if not empower themselves. And Marcus Aurelius, who was considered the poster boy for Stoicism, was the ancient emperor who really did his best to do good. And he had these quotes that would stick with me. And one of them was, if it's endurable, then endure it and stop complaining. And I remember I would go for walks at night in the dark on the streets and just kind of talking to God and reflecting over my life and going, okay, is this endurable? Is the divorce, is the grief, is the confusion, is the unknown endurable? Yes. I don't want to endure it, but is it endurable? Yes. All right, then endure it. That would be one of the things. And another quote that came from Marcus Aurelius was the idea that stop arguing what a good man is. Be one. And I'd take that in because the statement would have this hidden understanding that there's no argument. You already know the right thing to do. It's already in you. Instead of arguing about it, overthinking it, philosophizing over it, just realize you know what a good man is. Go ahead and be one. And then Seneca deeply influenced me, another great Stoic, and his letters to a Stoic, or letters from a Stoic, were wonderful. And I remember one quote really stuck with me. He said, it's all in your head. You have the power to make things seem hard or easy or even amusing. It's your choice. And I remember the word seem in there. You have the power to make things seem hard or easy or amusing. That didn't say that the things I was going through were to be dismissed. They were real things I was going through. But what he was saying is you have the power to make them seem differently than what you're possibly naturally or reactionarily looking at. And you could look at it and go, it's hard. That's a default for almost all of us. You're going through a divorce, that's hard. You're going through the loss of your father, that's hard. That's a default. But what if you looked at it as good? You have a choice. It could be hard. It could be easy. Well, maybe this is easy. That opens your mind to find another way. And then the big leap is, can you find it to be amusing? And at times you go, how is death amusing? How is the COVID amusing? How is the loss of income amusing? Well, like many people, I've ended up watching a lot of Netflix. And I saw a bunch of Jerry Seinfeld's show that he has on Netflix called Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. And Jerry Seinfeld lives for the joke. He almost doesn't care about anything. I know he's a family man. I know he has kids. I know he's married. So I'm sure he, in that world, shows his love. But for the rest of us, he only lives for the joke. And there were times where he was talking about concentration camps. And he was talking with Jon Stewart, and they were both laughing. They're both Jewish, and they were both laughing about it. They were finding humor. And then they were talking about people who die. And they were making jokes almost instantly over people who had just died. And you started to realize, right or wrong, this is how they think. And if this possibility is there, then Seneca is right. I can look at whatever's going on in my life as hard or easy or even amusing. So all of this is to say, Stoicism helped me. And I'll say one more thing. Early on in the divorce, and I was truly upset and confused. I thought, this should be easy. This really should be over. I've offered everything. I just walk away. And I asked my attorney, I said, you've been doing this for, I don't know how long, for years, maybe decades. You've seen all kinds of cases. You've seen people go through all kinds of horrible situations. I said, what is the best advice you've heard on getting through this? And he paused, and then he said, focus on the future. Focus on the future, which from law of attraction, self-help, Neville, power of intention is all about, what do you want? What is your goal? What is your outcome? What is your intention? What do you want to have, do, or be? Focus on what's next. Focus on the future. And so whenever my mind would get stuck in the darkness, I'd remember Marcus Aurelius, I'd remember Seneca, I'd remember my attorney, and I'd go, where do I want to go?